So in this video, I'll be doing a demonstration of what I did in response to the assignment prompt for week 3. So here I'm just starting out sketching with pencil and paper, getting the actual dimensions of the file and doing some compositional math. I find this is really helpful to do just to make me sit down and think about things. And of course, you could do this on the computer as well. So I'm planning for kind of a split screen, like a diptych composition. And I started out with this image of my face, very pixelated, and I was thinking of sort of breaking those pixels up and separating them from each other and maybe putting them into some sort of a pattern based on their color or their brightness or something like that. I quickly found that this was really tedious, and as I did some more ideation and sketching outside of Photoshop, I decided to switch gears. So I gathered a new set of photos, and I also used my flatbed scanner to scan in some textures. So if you have one of these, it's a great complement to using your digital camera to get things into a digital image. And so here I'm just separating out this torn piece of paper from its background using selection, and then pasting into my main collage composition. I ended up using a lot of blending modes with my layers, which is cool because I usually don't do that. So here I'm just kind of selecting, copying, and pasting from my source images into my composition. I've got some drawings, I've got some photos, I've got some patterns, some figurative representational things. Got these really cool pictures of mushrooms. I've been experimenting with mushroom growing lately, and that's been really nice, fun hobby. So trying to think about repetition and pattern. And so in terms of themes, I'm thinking about chaos versus order. And this is along with sort of things that I always tend to think about in terms of artwork, which is kind of nature or natural patterns versus man-made sort of analytical mathematical patterns. And so I'm trying to reference that in the source imagery I'm pulling in, as well as the composition that I'm making. So I was taking patterns from fabric as well as from nature, and kind of trying to composite those together, get them to play off of one another. And you can see here I'm kind of doing a big diagonal, well, two big diagonals really, one from upper right to lower left, the other from mid left to mid bottom, and then a few little pockets of sub pattern like you can see in the lower right. So most of the techniques that I'm using here are the basic layering and transformation and selection that we've gone over so far. What we haven't covered and that we will cover next week are working with colors. So I'm doing some things here in terms of color adjustment that we haven't covered yet, but this can be a nice little preview to some things that we might do. And so it's getting pretty developed here. I think at this point I was a little bit feeling like there was zero negative space in the lower left, so I wanted to bring in some more contrasting colors, more contrasting tones. So yeah, you can see it's so dense there in the lower left that I really wanted to kind of do something to break that up. So I think you'll see here in a second, I ended up enlarging some of those scanned drawings, and then here sort of cutting out a radial pattern using concentric circles and just filling those with white. So here I'm just making these selections to carve out these circular patterns. And when we have a selection, we can just fill it in with a color or a brush. And so again, that's something we'll get to next week in week 4. So there's my finished comp. I think I'm pretty happy with it. This was after letting it sit overnight, and I came back to it and added those circles. So I'm happy I did that. Let's blow it up, look at it a little bit bigger. And that's what I did for the week 3 project prompt.